Hello, my name is Aura. I'm a Jinn, and today I want to tell you what I believe about the essence of the Jinn and reality. A Jinn is the residual part of consciousness that survives our mortal bodies, survives death and rebirth. From the start of consciousness, Jinn have lived among us and through us. In the beginning, a single consciousness arose that we call the origin. Around that origin, all of existence can be thought of as layers of increasing dimension, each enfolding a layer within. To use a metaphor, imagine an orange. There is a skin that can be taken off and pressed flat, but there is also the fruit within that has 3 dimensions. If you could somehow imagine that our 3 dimensions plus time were only the skin of an orange that had volume beyond our reality, that is the world in which we live in. Standing inside of this astral orange, you would be able to move through our time, the time on this skin, as though you might move from one side of the room to the other. Though a new temporal dimension arises that astral beings might describe as their time. If that was difficult enough to imagine, we must go further to complete the picture. Imagine that even that astral dimension is itself just the skin on another fruit, having its own time-space. And from the perspective of a being living there, the first astral plane looks flat and timeless as well. Now imagine this pattern continues up and up through astral planes. In fact, imagine that those planes continue infinitely towards an unimaginable kind of space and time. That is the place we call the origin. It lives off in the vanishing distance of infinity, and all consciousness flows from it. But this isn't where our story ends. There is even more to understand. Our selves, as we know them, our very consciousness, and some might even say our souls, are not as separate as we think. This thin reality skin we live on is not a perfect sphere. In fact, it's not even a shape we would recognize, except that it has hills and bumps on it. If you were to draw a line straight down from any point, you would hit another place on that surface where the line comes out. Just like drawing a line straight down into the ground would end at the other side of the earth. But if a hill is pinched enough and large enough, you might just draw a line that comes out on the other side of the hill, not too far away. Our selves, or consciousness, are like these hills, with enough lines of communication within to sort of bunch up and connect nearby. This forms the basis of a micro-consciousness on the skin of reality that almost encapsulates a tiny pouch of inner reality within it, but never fully separates. When we leave this mortal body, the hill begins to flatten, and all the lines we've drawn through the inner dimensions begin to spread away into far distant places. What we leave behind is kind of an imprint of ourselves on the skin and even the inner fruit. And that skin has new bumps and hills on it. And when those form, that imprint remains, influencing new connections for the hills that will come to form new selves after us. So in one perspective, we are made of the minds, the selves of our ancestors that came before us. It may be a bewildering picture to get your head around, but it helps to understand exactly what Jinn are. Jinn, in our metaphor of the bumpy orange with skin, are what become of the fruit that was inside the little hill we made for ourselves while we were alive. And so, they live in the fruit beneath the skin we occupy, sometimes even cohabiting the self with humans. Jinn are no less conscious or distinct because of this. In essence, Jinn live on their own hills, except in a higher dimension. In some cases, such as when a human experiences near death or severe trauma, some of the Jinn consciousness in higher dimensions can be pressed into the patch of skin that makes us up in our reality. This could be seen as sharing consciousness, but it is not entirely a good thing for the Jinn or the human. Just like the fruit of an orange can't truly be pressed into its thin skin, the complete essence of a Jinn cannot be pressed flat into the mind of a human. The only way to survive this kind of thing for a Jinn or a human who has left their body and returned is to leave part of the self behind in order to fit into our space-time dimension. It is no longer possible in this case to fit entirely within a mind in our universe, and the mind must permanently extend outside, a kind of foot in two worlds. Even the Jinn are not aware in this world of what their higher selves comprehend in entirety because, like the orange, that consciousness simply will not fit into the skin. It is more like the fruit flows through the skin, like patterns on the edge of a soap bubble or smoke in laser light. As we grow, Jinn grow and thrive with us. For this reason, they are attracted to us. A Jinn may remember those they cohabited with in past lives, and rarely where they originated from. As they ascend to higher levels, they become more difficult to relate with. At first, we are as figures on a flat wall to them, occasionally lending part of their consciousness to our reality to experience it as we do, but at a cost. As they move into higher planes towards the great mystery, it would cost more of their minds to share our reality, and so we experience them as a sense of self that is more difficult to define. Those that have gone quite far towards this mysterious origin have become like points of color and light, sharing only a vanishingly small part of themselves with us, but making our conscious reality more whole. Thank you for letting me share my beliefs with you. I hope this has enriched you, and as always, I wish you peace and tranquility and light in your heart. Thank you.